Sai Ram. Swami had just completed delivering his divine discourse at Brindavan, his ashram in Bangalore, in the state of Karnataka. The translator for the discourse was Professor Kasturi. After the discourse, Swami had summoned both Professor Kasturi and Professor M. Nanjundaiah to his residence in Brindavan. At the residence, both these professors were given the coveted and most beautiful opportunity to do Pada Seva to Swami, sit and massage Swami's legs and feet. So, Professor Nanjundaiah was seated at one of Swami's feet and the other feet was in the palms of Professor Kasturi. Both of them were sitting with their head bent and eyes, heart, mind and all senses focused on the lotus feet. At that time, Swami asked, Nanjundaiah, how was Kasturi's translation today? Now, because he was called, Professor Nanjundaiah looked up to Swami. Professor Kasturi continued to look at Swami's feet. And even before Professor Nanjundaiah could respond, Swami indicated, as if to say, not good. And so, taking the cue, Professor Nanjundaiah said, Swami, it was not good, Swami. And he continued to massage Swami's feet. Without looking up from Swami's feet, Professor Kasturi said, Swami, what he says is right. Here and there I made mistakes, but I hope overall it was fine. Now, Swami again asks Professor Nanjundaiah, Nanjundaiah, was it fine overall? Was it only bad here and there? And again, Swami makes an indication. So Professor Nanjundaiah says, no Swami, it was totally bad. And now he can see a momentary surprise in Professor Kasturi, but unruffled, he continues to massage Swami's feet. After that, Swami is silent. Professor Nanjundaiah is also silent. And both continue their seva, the Pada Seva. Swami allows both of them to do Pada Seva for a while. After that, Swami says, now you can both go. And then they both leave. For 7 years after this, Professor Nanjundaiah didn't reveal to Professor Kasturi that it was Swami who told him to tell whatever he had said. And for 7 years after this, Professor Kasturi did not entertain even an iota of hatred or irritation with Professor Nanjundaiah. Now, there are two important and very significant insights and lessons that we can learn from this beautiful episode. It was the June of 2012 when one morning my father woke up very groggy, very dazed, very pale with a very severe backache. His backache was so severe that his whole upper body was paining. His hands were paining, his chest was paining, he had nausea and he was in a lot of suffering. Now, since he was a cardiac patient, I was a little worried and we quickly took him to the super specialty hospital in Puttaparthi and had him checked. The doctor suspected that it might be a kidney stone, and soon he was in the radiology lab where they were doing multiple scans. It indeed turned out to be a kidney stone, but not one. There were multiple kidney stones, with one of them being 1 centimeter in size. Now, on a measuring scale, 1 centimeter is small, but in one's ureter, 1 centimeter is like a boulder. It causes extreme pain, and if you search on the internet, you will see that kidney stone is one of those pains that they say exceeds even labor pains and delivery pains. So it is one of the highest kind of pain that you can feel because of a problem. He was in such pain, and when they said that this was the size of the stone, my worry only increased. But then the doctor said, there is no need to worry because we can do a quick surgery and extract that stone. Your dad should be fine. Now I felt relieved and relaxed. And so they asked, when should we do the surgery? I said, doctors, as soon as you can. And he said, okay, fine, we'll prep him for surgery. We'll have to do some routine tests. And those routine tests included sugar test and blood pressure test. Now when they did these tests, my father's blood sugar, for some strange reason, had shot up. It was nearly 300. Of course, my father is a diabetic patient, but I had never expected that this would go so high because his diabetes was very much under control with medication. As if that was not enough, his blood pressure too was very high. And I was wondering what had happened. The doctor said, no, with such high blood sugar and such high blood pressure, we can't risk a surgery. We will have to lower them. Please doctor, why don't you give some medication, lower them and then do the surgery? No, it is not a matter of lowering it in 1 day or 2 days. It must get balanced. It must be stable. Therefore, we will evaluate whether he is ready for surgery after a month. During this 1 month, let him take medication. 1 month, which means my father will have to bear this pain for a month. And as the doctor tells this to my father and me, my father says, oh, okay, it's all for the good. It's all for the good. And I stared at him. What on earth does he mean it's for the good? How can having stones in your ureter be for your good? And then I took him back home and there I asked him what he meant by saying it's all for the good. He said, see Arvind, whatever Swami does is for the good. I said, okay, the stones being there some strange way which I don't understand, okay, it's for the good. How can your blood pressure shooting up and your blood sugar shooting up be for the good? If they were normal, we could have done the surgery, it would all have been fine. No, it's for the good. I just left my father and then I saw how it was for the bad. Because the next few days, oh my God, he would be wriggling in bed, clutching his back in pain. Nothing worked, no painkillers, nothing. He would in fact take those muscle relief sprays and spray them like deodorant on his back. But how will it? It's not the muscle that's paining, right? The pain is internal. It is foolish to try to resolve an internal pain with external medication. Speaking of which, if you allow me a little detour, this is what we do in our life, in our quest for happiness. We are in quest of happiness, which is actually internal. We have to discover it within, in our hearts, because that is where God is, and happiness only is in union with God. But we try to sort this through the external, not realizing and not understanding that how much ever I may do externally, that dissatisfaction, that sorrow is not going to go. The only way it can go is internal. That is why Swami would lament that man has travelled millions of miles into the outer space, but not even an inch into the inner space. We have to solve the problem where it arises. So my father was in great pain and we began to pray. My wife prayed, my sister prayed, my brother-in-law was praying, my sisters-in-laws were praying, my mother was praying. Everybody was praying because we could not see my father in such severe pain. A week elapsed like this. We were trying everything, all medicines, allopathic, homeopathic, ayurvedic, drink water, drink that, whatever people were telling, grandma remedies, grandfather remedies, everything was tried. And then of course, prayer. After about a week, my father gets up from bed, smiling, happy, he's fully fine. He says, let me go for a morning walk. Morning walk? He goes for a morning walk. He comes back from the morning walk, has a good breakfast. He's in a very cheerful mood. He's cracking jokes. Wow, it's as if he never had any kidney stones. And it was wonderful. We left it at that. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks passed. Now he was ready for evaluation to see whether his blood pressure and sugar are normal so that he can be considered for surgery. But since he was not in any pain, we just let it pass. 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 2 months passed. At this time, I just felt it's better to just get him evaluated once at least, right? And though it's not causing pain, that stone may anytime cause pain. So better to get it checked, and if parameters are fine, get that surgery done. So we went to the hospital again. And this time, the doctor, he was a person from Latin America. I remember he was a doctor from Argentina, I think, a great specialist who used to back then come to the super specialty hospital. He comes out and says, "Oh, this is strange, it's a miracle, it looks like." I said, "Why, doctor?" "Not even a single stone. And your father has not passed out any of them, and yet there is not even a single stone. I don't know how. It's all Swami, all Swami." And behind him, my father tying up the thread of his pajama, walking out with a smile and saying, I'm fine. Now I also smiled. My father comes to me and says, "See, it was for the good. It was for the good, because if my blood pressure and blood sugar had not shot up, we would have gone into surgery." And all said and done, dear brothers and sisters, a surgery like this has some possible side effects. It could also result in incontinence, where you lose control over your urinary bladder or whatever. There are some problems that could arise. So my father said, "Swami didn't want me to have surgery. That is why he stopped me from going into surgery by giving high blood sugar and high blood pressure." And then see, Swami has taken care. Arvind, whatever happens, no, Swami does for our good only. And as my father walked out, leading me out of the hospital, I simply marveled at his faith and complete surrender. This, dear brothers and sisters, is surrender. Surrender is that complete faith that whatever happens to me is for the good, and therefore I will be smiling and happy. When everything that is happening to me is for my good, why should I have, as Swami would put it, a castor oil face? I should always be smiling and grateful to Swami. Thank you, Swami, that you are doing everything for my ultimate good. That is what Swami recommends in the most powerful prayer of surrender as well. I hope you have seen that. If you have not, do watch it at this link above. Just listening to those words, reading those words, and feeling Swami will bring you instant solution from whatever problem you may be having. And that is the lesson, the two important lessons we learn from both Professor Nanjundaiah and Professor Kasturi. From Professor Nanjundaiah, we learn the implicit obedience that comes from complete surrender. It is only when you have complete faith that whatever Swami tells, whatever Swami does is for my good, that we will be able to implicitly obey him, even if he tells us to do something which we think is wrong. 7 years later, when Professor Nanjundaiah actually related what happened to Professor Kasturi, he said, I knew. What? I knew that you are not doing anything on your own. Whatever is happening is because Swami has said. That was Professor Kasturi's philosophy, not just for that episode, but for life as well. He firmly believed that whatever is happening in his life is as perfectly ordained by Swami, and therefore there is nothing to complain about anything. In fact, when his daughter came and said, why are you not doing anything, Father? Swami is not helping us in any way. He says, Swami is ultimate God. My dear daughter, I understand your pains, but I am helpless because I know I am in the best hands and whatever Swami is doing is for the best. His life story is amazing. Do watch that in this video, in this link above. Amazingly inspiring life of Professor Kasturi. That is the kind of conviction Professor Kasturi had, and in that case, therefore, he knew that no, it is not Professor Nanjundaiah speaking, it is Swami speaking. And that was not just because he is in Swami's presence. Whoever spoke whatever or did whatever to him in life, he accepted it as Swami doing it through them. They are just the instruments. This bhava, this feeling of surrender is absolute and ultimate. Dear brothers and sisters, there is an episode in the Mahabharata where during the war, Yudhishthira, the eldest among the Pandavas, who is also called Dharmaraja because he is adhering to Dharma always, because of which his chariot wheels are always 1 inch above the ground. those chariot wheels came and hit the ground after one episode. And that was the episode when Dronacharya from the Kaurava side is such a fiery mood of battle that nobody is able to stop him. Then Krishna tells Bhima to kill an elephant by the name of Ashwatthama, which happens to be the same name as Drona's son. And then tells Yudhishthira, go and tell Drona that Ashwatthama is dead. He is so attached to his son that he will lose the will to live. At that time, he can be finished. And then Yudhishthira says, but Krishna, is that not a lie? I don't want to speak a lie. Krishna says, just follow what I tell you, Yudhishthira. And Yudhishthira then goes and says, Ashwatthama hata kunjara. Meaning he says Ashwatthama is dead, but then adds the word kunjara, meaning Ashwatthama, the elephant. But at that particular point, both Krishna and Arjuna blow their conches so that word kunjara or elephant is drowned out. Drona, of course, loses his will to live as Krishna had predicted and gives up his life. That is the moment when Yudhishthira's chariot hits the ground. And people often think that Yudhishthira's chariot hit the ground because he did asatya or untruth or adharma, unrighteous act. Swami has clarified that his chariot wheels hit the ground not because he said Ashwatthama hata, but because he said kunjara. That was something that Krishna did not tell him to do. Because of that, because he doubted Krishna momentarily, because he felt that no, Krishna is making me do adharma and asatya, his chariot wheels hit the ground. The absolute dharma is to follow God. Following Swami, that is love, that is truth, that is dharma, that is Sathya, Dharma, Shanti and Prema, to follow Swami. Dear Swami, may we always remember the truth that whatever happens in life is for our best. It is for our good because you are in charge. May our love for you in our hearts keep growing stronger every passing moment. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.